Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel, Jane Lorenzo.
Wait, what did you say?
Jane Lorenzo.
Have a good one.
You guys better subscribe and watch my friend on his YouTube channel. He is kicking ass.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 2. So I reviewed Season 1 some time ago, and I really liked it, if not loved it. But Season 2 of Buffy, to me, really solidified it. I may only be 2 seasons in. I've actually watched a couple of Season 3 so far. It's great. I may only be a little over a couple seasons in, but I gotta say, I already really have a lot of love for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I already think it's such a great show. And I understand why it's had the following it has for all these years, and I just feel like an idiot for not getting on the bandwagon a long time ago. So yeah, I really like Season 1, especially the finale as well as the Nightmare episode. I just really enjoyed a lot about it. But this season, I think, stepped it up even more so. I was a tad worried about the higher episode count going forward. Because I was worried that certain shows with higher episode counts, they'll kind of bleed the story out, or they'll stretch it out too much, and there won't be enough to, really justify that episode count. But Buffy, like Supernatural in the past, proved me wrong. Because sure, they do still spread out the main story with, some, Case of the Week or Monster of the Week, what have you, episodes. But like some of the first 2 seasons of Supernatural, and still some once in a while nowadays, they really actually make those episodes worth it as well, because the cast is so good, they're so entertaining together, they have a great amount of chemistry, and that means any kind of episode, whether it's a big main story episode, whether it's a sort of funny, ridiculous one-shot thing, it's really entertaining because he just really like these characters so much already, and Season 2 is a prime example of that. Like, for example, the episode Reptile Boy or Bad Eggs, they might seem kind of just throwaway, but because characters like Xander and everything are so entertaining as well, they make them still worth it. So, Season 2, I'm not going to be able to go through, every single plot detail this season, but I did want to sort of give brief thoughts on each episode, or at least most of them. So, after Buffy had killed the Master at the end of Season 1, she's sort of separating herself again. She's sort of in this, mood, because she's just obsessed over the Master being dead, and it's almost like Tommy Jarvis going to see, about Jason Voorhees being dead in, Part 6, Jason Lives. Like with the premiere, when she was bad, Buffy suffers visions in which the Master undead kills her once again. The Anointed One plans to resurrect the slain Master in a ritual using his exhumed skeleton. With kidnapped Scooby Gang members as blood sacrifices, Buffy rescues her friends, then deals with her residual fear and anger by obliterating the Master entirely. And this episode is kind of cool because, it had Buffy sort of having that attitude that you don't really see her have, being a little bit more sort of headstrong, I guess, a little bit more hot-headed perhaps, and just kind of being a dick when Buffy's usually like the greatest person ever. There's even her little dance with Xander in this one, purely kind of to get at Willow. Or maybe it's sort of driven by her own kind of lack of caring that's come out of this, but you know, it's kind of more just she has a lot of PTSD, I guess, from her experiences with the Master. So I like how they still add some importance of that moment in her life carrying over into season 2, at least for a little bit. I did kind of expect it to go on a little bit longer. I sort of wish it wasn't just a one episode thing, but then again, there have been shows that have drug out, you know, characters, you know, personality changes. Vampire Diaries, a little bit too long. So, you know, I guess I shouldn't really complain too much. Yeah. Okay, and then we had some assembly required. Bodies of girls are in traffic accidents are being dug from their graves. Culprits are two science students, Chris and Eric, using pieces of the girls to create a bride for Chris's monstrous brother Daryl. Almost like a high school version of Frankenstein. The only thing Master needs now is Cordy's head, you know, Cordelia. Can Scooby Gang members arrive in time to save her? This is an alright episode. I kind of like the sort of the jock Frankenstein type of thing they had going. It wasn't really one of my favorites, though. And with bringing up Cordelia, though, Grossma Carpenter, she really started to get her own place on the show a little bit more. You know, we have her and Xander sort of struggling with what their relationship is, whether it's kind of just, you know, hook up, you know, honestly, fuck buddies kind of thing, or if it's, you know, they both actually have legitimate feelings for each other. And it turns out they do, and at first Cordelia isn't really willing to let that in because, you know, it's Xander and I'm supposed to be this popular girl and everything. But eventually she lets herself sort of just more freely associate with Buffy and the others. There's a whole episode where she ends up pushing away the girls who judge her so harshly, which I liked. So I hope there's more about oddly, I kind of want to see more of Cordelia's life, I guess. I don't know. I'm wondering how long Cordelia lasts on the show, though, because I do like her. She has her place. And I know probably most of the characters survive the series, but I don't know, I just feel like a character like Cordelia wouldn't. I don't know. I feel like she'd be a death at some point, but we'll see. And then our sort of main villain for the season, or villains, was Spike and Drusilla, at least until the last bit of the season, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. You know, I do like Spike. I didn't think he really made for that great of a threat, though. I never felt like it was after the first time or two Buffy sort of defeated him, I didn't really feel or buy into his threat quite as much. But then when they really do defeat Spike and Drusilla, and Spike is sort of supposedly, you know, crushed under this rubble, you know, he's rendered to a wheelchair for a little bit, then he ends up playing that against Angel and Drusilla. So I like Spike sort of changing, Psyche here at least is changing maybe allegiances. I thought he was funny when meeting up with Buffy and her mom and stuff like that. But yeah, at first I thought they could have executed him as a villain a little bit better, but he does look cool though. So that's kind of talking about episode 3. Inca Mummy Girl. Xander ends up falling head over heels for her. But of course she has to suck the life out of people to maintain herself. And this was alright, you know, I actually kind of forgot about it. I kind of felt for Xander with it, I guess. But, you know, it was, not one of those holdover things, not one of its best, though. Okay, I talked about a little about Reptile Boy already. You know, that one is actually more entertaining than At Any Rate to me. Number 6, Halloween. I really enjoyed a lot. It's one of those really entertaining one-shot episodes I mentioned earlier. We get this guy that we find out is from Giles' past, Ethan Rain. He ends up casting a spell on the kids of Sunnydale, turning them literally into the monsters or the characters they're dressed as for Halloween. So it's really funny because you get Buffy as like this princess, having to be saved by everything and kind of all frail and delicate, and it was kind of cute. And you have Xander as a soldier, so him being able to go all Rambo is kind of fun to see as well. And we see that some of those skills actually carried over for him, at least a little bit. And then I really did like the whole look at Giles' backstory we ended up getting this season as well. His past as the Ripper. I honestly really want to hear more about that. Once in a while we get to see a more kind of brutal or sort of shockingly capable and violent side of Giles, which I really like a lot. And I like the whole thing with Ethan Rain this season, and tying into Giles' relationship with Jenny. And you can see when Giles kind of goes into that mode, he sort of snaps in, and all of a sudden he just can dismantle something just like that. Besides Buffy, Giles is definitely my favorite character on the show. Anthony Stewart Head does a great job when he's playing this Ripper character, but also, and most importantly, probably when he's serving as Buffy's mentor. And they sort of start playing up that kind of father figure dynamic a little bit more this season, which I really liked a lot. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to talk about every single one of these movies one by one. But another one I wanted to mention is, the whole Kendra thing. We find out that because Buffy temporarily died towards the end of season 1, that a new Slayer was introduced for this generation. And I thought Kendra was alright. She ended up kind of just being tossed aside in the finale, or, the last couple episodes when she was brought back. But, it's kind of good to see another kind of physically capable person with Buffy, having that kind of physical power and stuff like that. I thought the whole accent thing was it felt kind of forced though on that end, I guess. It was good to have someone like that also around, that have it all fall on Buffy's shoulders, I guess. And then the episode Ted, her mother starts dating, and it's this guy named Teddy, seemingly very, very perfect, but that turns out he's not exactly a regular person, and he's very, very abusive and controlling. Buffy ends up killing him in self-defense. So I was actually kind of surprised of how this episode went, because I didn't expect it to actually go that far. Then there's this whole investigation until the guy comes back anyway. So I like that as well. And again, bad eggs. At first it was just kind of funny seeing Xander and like Cordelia and everything trying to take care of this egg, and that sort of like classic school projects, not to crack them open or anything like that. And it turns out to all be this connected to this system of something growing under Sunnydale. So that was a fun episode. Then he also has this character named the Judge, who is supposed to have only been brought down by an army. And also I should probably tell you that Buffy and Angel, they end up having sex for the first time. And it's a really great scene, probably one of the best sort of lead ups to that kind of thing on a show I've ever seen. It really felt genuine, and the music to it, the mood and everything. But because of Angel's curse, he actually loses his humanity, and that turns him into sort of the main villain of the season, which I thought the actor did a really good job with, and he turned into a better villain than Spike was this season. But before that, we had this thing called the Judge being introduced, and he might have looked slightly, because of the budget they had on Buffy, he might have ended up looking slightly like a Power Rangers kind of villain. But I was willing to buy into him. I thought he was going to have like this whole arc till the end of the season, because they placed a lot of importance on him, but then he just ends up sort of being destroyed. which I was a little disappointed by. I think I've seen some people complain about how quick he died too, but it is what it is. A few episodes later, it's sort of forgotten. Yeah, they ended up using a stolen rocket launcher on that as well, so that was fun. And then you have the episode 15 called Phases. We get a little more on Seth Green starting with this episode. Seth Green's really good on the show too. And we find out that there's a werewolf in Sunnydale, and it turns out to be him. Except luckily he hasn't really laid into that carnage of being a werewolf yet, so they're able to help him and sort of get this hunter off his back. And so I like there being a werewolf in Buffy, sort of a regular character, makes for an interesting dynamic, and I like his connection with Willow. Willow's been after Xander for so long, but she's finally letting herself be happy with Oz, so I liked how that worked. I know they seem to be kind of spreading out the werewolf stuff a little bit, which is fine because of their budget, I understand. But not a bad werewolf design for, the budget they had. And I like that's more of an upright thing, and it's just because of that automatically makes it better than some of the other modern, just kind of werewolves. This is an actual werewolf, so I like that at least. And then with Jenny, unfortunately, she ends up being killed by Angel in episode 17, Passion, and this show can really impress when they get serious and really try and build up a character or really get into a serious subject matter. And with the death of one of the characters here, Jenny, Giles' sort of descent and grief, I thought was very real, and I felt for him a lot. And him wanting just to go all out against Angel, whether he died or not, I thought was really well handled. Very unfortunate for Jenny. But she's able to sort of toss something away that has information on how to get Angel's humanity back before she dies, which they find towards the finale. So I thought that was all really good as well. I also like the hospital episode where there's this creature, Derek Kingstud, feeding on children. Then he had Go Fish with members of the Sunnydale swim team turning into these, fish, almost like creature from the Black Lagoon type of things, and I enjoyed that as well. Again, it was kind of silly, but Wentworth Miller was in it, so that was that. And I thought the whole two-part finale Becoming was really good. Again, seeing Spike, sort of just observing Angel and Drusilla and sort of building up his own plan, deciding to actually help Buffy, I thought was really good. And I do find his dynamic with Buffy already entertaining, and then we also have her mother finally finding out what's going on. I had wondered how long they were gonna keep that up, but I think it was about time. They didn't want to drag that on for too long without her somehow managing still not to find out, Kendra is, she comes back to help Buffy, but Drusilla ends up killing her. And he also has a character named the Whistler, who I'm not sure, does he become a part of the Angel spinoff? I'm not sure. I know it kind of starts after Buffy season 3, but we'll see. And Buffy, she actually ends up reuniting with Angel once his humanity is back, but then she ends up killing him and shoving him into the portal anyway, leading into the trauma she's going through into season 3, which is already really well handled. And of course, the principal, who has these ties that we see, he ends up expelling her, and she sort of just goes off on her own, wanting to just sort of be alone after what happened, which I understand completely, but we'll talk more about that in my season 3 review down the road. So yeah, I thought season 2 of Buffy was great. There were some episodes I was a little less enthusiastic about, but I nonetheless still enjoyed it. I just really think these characters came to life more than ever in this season. The main plot and the main dynamic with Angel was really well handled, and I just thought it was great. I'm honestly giving Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 2 an A. So yeah, I guess how about the second season of Buffy? How did it compare to the first one for you? Without spoilers, how does it compare to the rest of the series for you? One person I had seen had told me a while ago that's their favorite season, so I kind of understand that already. So yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.